What is a secret base? It seems obvious given the name. It's just what it is, a secret base. We've made pillow forts and called it a secret base. We've played Minecraft and built various secret bases. The idea of a secret base isn't necessarily unique to any single culture. Yet, for some reason, when you engage with Japanese media, the concept of a secret base shows up repeatedly and in a specific way. The first time I encountered the Japanese type of secret bases was in the Pokémon Sapphire and Emerald versions. Of course, it was perfectly intuitive to me, because it's almost natural for children to find a little nook and try to make a base, hideout, or castle out of it. We all yearn for the mines, don't we? Well, as fate would have it, Pokemon Pearl and Platinum version would allow me to mine and have a secret base again. I really liked mining to collect minerals and fossils, and never let them out of my grubby mitts. I didn't really like the secret bases as much. The decorations were cool and the space was big, but it's just dirt and rocks. I missed the trees. Then I started being exposed to more Japanese media and noticed a pattern. Secret bases were a common and frequent thing, enough that it actually felt more like a trope than a coincidence. If you hear "ひみつきち," that is referring to a secret base. It's actually a cultural phenomenon in Japan. The ones in Pokemon were designed to represent the real secret bases that children create to be a hangout spot made by kids for kids. They are made by younger children, like the children that would be around the same age as their player characters in Pokemon. For my Western audience, it's kind of like having a treehouse. A treehouse is a space where you can be louder, more rambunctious, be messier, have pillows and blankets and toys be left all over the place because it's designed to be a kid's play space. You have more agency compared to your own bedroom, where by default you have to reduce noise, mess, and damage to the room. Obviously, your parents are in the right for making sure you treat your room with respect and follow the rules, but it can feel overbearing and pretty unfun. Western media, particularly United Stadian media, will heavily feature tree houses for this purpose. Eastern media, particularly Japanese media, will heavily feature secret bases. To oversimplify, we have kids next door and they have Anohana. Where they culturally differ is that a Western treehouse is commonly created by the adults, but secret bases are created by the children. A treehouse is usually built in plain sight, usually in the backyard, which is owned property, usually with permits or permission from local authorities, and usually built with the assistance and permission of adults. Overall, while the treehouse can function as a personal space for kids in both media and reality, it still has to be officially sanctioned by adults. Secret bases don't have those requirements. Any abandoned environment, cave, or pocket of forest can be converted into a secret base. Kids can get together and bring their decorations and treasures to create their own space and plan their activities. The depiction is often abandoned spaces with reclaimed items, and the adults don't necessarily know or sanction anything. This isn't to say that Western kids exclusively use tree houses. I've personally never had one or been in one. It's just that from a Western perspective, especially in media, younger children will hang out in an officially sanctioned treehouse or clubhouse. It's overwhelmingly popular for us. Then once they're tweens and teens, they hang out at the mall or burger shop or something. Think like the many Disney Channel and Nickelodeon shows around the era of Generation 3 and Generation 4. This might be the reason why I liked Four Tree City so much as a child, and may have been so biased towards tree secret bases. Maybe a tree was more appealing to me culturally because I'm a United Stadian exposed to mostly that kind of media. The idea of hanging out in junkyards and abandoned places is more of an older teen thing and often has the connotation of being a rebellious teen, a troubled teen, poverty, or doing things like smoking in secret. Even in shows where our protagonists passed over a treehouse or clubhouse in favor of something like a junkyard or abandoned building, those characters were still outcast characters or socially less appealing than their peers. It also seems to be a pattern where the tree houses are safer because other types of kid hangouts are occasionally invaded by the bully characters. It makes sense our culture may depict things this way. By comparison, children of the same age are less independent here and expected to have more supervision from authority figures. Sanctioned treehouses and clubhouses on a gated property is a way to give young children unsupervised agency without unleashing them in a place where that lack of supervision disturbs the general public. Then maybe by middle school or high school, they are mature enough to handle being left alone in malls or libraries. Considering how car-centric the US is, it's not like like the majority of children can just commute, use public transport, or walk. In comparison, culturally Japanese secret bases keep the childlike, innocent vibe of a treehouse while still allowing anything to feel like a kid-made, kids-only space. They are seen as innocent instead of delinquent, and will be looked back upon with the same nostalgia as a Westerner would look back at a treehouse. I mentioned Anohana before, and though the characters are older, we can see that they made the secret base as children in a forest without any adult assistance or permission. Another good example is the Ham Ham Clubhouse from Hamtaro. As a kid, it made sense that their hideout was secretive because they were sneaking away from their owners to hang out and were avoiding neighborhood cats. Now that I know it's supposed to relate to Japanese children and their culture, the story of hamsters sneaking out when their owners are away at school is supposed to mirror children hanging out at a secret base then returning home to their parents. The Pokémon and the Pichu Brothers anime all have their reclaimed urban space that they play together in. Guilmon's hideout in Digimon Tamers is kind of like a secret base that the adults overlook. The trope shows up so reliably in Japanese media for at least 4 main reasons that I can see. The infrastructure of Japan features many walkable neighborhoods with reliable public transit and dense mixed-use zoning. This allows kids to physically access off-site locations safely to create secret bases. Even if we consider areas of Japan that are closer to suburbs or rural areas, the abundance of nature and respect for it still allows spaces to create secret bases. Japan has a cultural expectation of independence that allows and encourages children to walk to and from school alone, run errands and do chores, and other forms of unsupervised tolerances. I'm sure many of you have heard about accounts of Japanese students cooking and cleaning even outside the home in schools. This gives the opportunity to wander as long as they make it back before curfew. There's the spatial reality that there is limited private indoor space depending on where a person lives. Much of the media takes place in smaller homes, so kids seek external spaces to own and engage in more reckless play. Lastly, from what I see, there's a different social framing of space. There is less of the cultural idea that an abandoned and unused space is automatically dangerous. The view appears to be at least more neutral in Japanese culture and media than US culture and media, accounting for equivalent regions and time periods. This cultural difference is why I got into anime at a young age, because the way the children were treated and acted felt more relatable. Obviously, most media is an idealized version of the real culture, but even then I related more to the kids in Detective Conan than the suburban kids on TV. I needed to be home alone at times to take care of my siblings, help with homework, cook for myself after school, inject insulin into my grandmother, be more emotionally regulated than my parents, and a bunch of other tasks that seemed perfectly normal for me to do before becoming a teen. Yet despite having some adult responsibilities at home, I wasn't allowed to ride my bike too many blocks from home, and it would be out of the question to take the bus or subway on my own. It's because US kids' spaces have more of an emphasis on what I'd call delegated autonomy, like how a treehouse is something built by adults located on owned property that is a controlled environment. Japanese kids' spaces are sort of a claimed autonomy. Secret bases are found rather than given, built by the children, and exist alongside adult infrastructure. Neither is necessarily better in a vacuum. Our cultures are just different. There are just times in my country where I feel like we are being held back by our worst people. Like, instead of just baby-proofing and idiot-proofing things for the most incompetent people, we chain the competent people down and kind of turn life into one big remedial class. That's why things like driving, walking in public, customer service, corporate jobs, social media, and anything you can think of can feel so awful at times. I guess in a sense, I wish I had a secret base as a kid, since I'd be responsible enough to be there alone. Given the current housing market, maybe I will get to live in a tree sometime in the near future. Subscribe if you want to fund my sad little tree home. Well, with all that, I hope it makes a little more sense why secret bases are so frequently depicted the way they are in games and other media. What was your favorite kind of secret base? Was there a preferred generation or a preferred location? Whatever it is, tell me in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you some other time. Bye!